number 60, and it has the story of Hatib bin Abi Balta'a and the opening of Mecca, related to opening of Mecca, Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, and Hatib ibn Abi Balta'a. Alhamdulillah, we're almost completing the Khatmat al-Quran. We're on the last portion now of the Quran. So this Juz 27 already read, with the exception of one surah, Tahrim. I guess Brother Sayyid will recite it inshallah tonight. So when we reach Juz 27, we'll jump. Then we reach 23rd, we'll jump also, 27. Already they were read in Taraweeh and also Salat al-Maghrib. Okay, Surah Al-Mumtahinah means the test of faith. The test of faith. Examining the faith of women who will be immigrating from Mecca to Medina. Sometimes they translate the literal translation of the title Al-Mumtahinah or Al-Mumtahana is women who are tested, or women whose faith is tested. Okay, Surah number 60, 13 ayah. One of my favorite surahs in the Quran, although it's not very common and people usually don't hear. And the story that is mentioned or related to the story, also a very important story that has many lessons for our life. How to treat people when they commit mistakes. Good people who commit mistakes. So the context, as you know, Rasulullah ﷺ had a dream that he would go to Mecca. He saw himself and the Sahaba making Umrah and shaving their head and cutting it. So, and the dreams of prophets are true. So this will happen. Even before he became a prophet, for 6 months, any dream that he had ﷺ was fulfilled. So what happened? Rasulullah ﷺ shared the news with Muslims that I saw myself and you Muslims making Umrah. That was in the 6th year after we immigrated. So after the battle of Badr and Uhud and the trench, Ghazwat al-Ahzab, al-Khandaq. Muslims got excited, they wanted to go to Umrah. They prepared themselves. They did not take weapon, except what an Arab would travel in the old days, carrying something very, light, a sword or something, just in case, an animal attacks or something, but not armors and all of that, just simple. Quraysh knew that Muslims are coming, so they did not allow them. And Muslims were very frustrated. Allah's Messenger, we had a dream and we have to make Umrah. Now you are telling us that we have to go back and you are doing and signing a treaty, Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Hudaybiyah treaty or pact with the Qurayshi people. They were frustrated. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger know, and there was a revelation that this is what will happen. And Umar al-Khattab was the most, very angry. He said, you told us that there is a dream and we'll be going. He said, did I tell you that this year? He said, no. He said, you will come with me and we will be making Umrah, and that will happen. And the next year it happened. Umrah al-Qada, they call it Qada because the first one did not work, so they came the next year, the 7th year. And the 8th year was the opening of Mecca. Because the treaty that was signed was violated by Qurayshi people. So the treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah was violated by the Qurayshi people. So Rasulullah ﷺ and Muslims came and they surrounded the Qurayshi people at night. Then, not surrounded, the Messenger ﷺ gave them the impression that they are surrounded, then they peacefully surrendered. Alhamdulillah, Mecca became the land of Islam. This is the capital of Islam. Now all of the idols were demolished and destroyed and people of Mecca became Muslims. So this is the context of what happened from 6th year to the 8th year of Al-Hijrah. The opening of Mecca was in Ramadan, 20th Ramadan. The opening of Mecca was in the 20th of Ramadan. And during this trip, when Rasulullah left Medina to Mecca, he broke his fasting. As a traveler, he broke his fasting, and this is where many scholars say and measure the distance and where you can break your fasting because of what happened. It was during the month of Ramadan. Quraysh violated the treaty. And it was the time to punish them for that. And Rasulullah ﷺ was not looking for bloodshed. He wants people to be Muslims, so that was the plan. He asked Muslims to prepare themselves, but he did not say where. Just prepare yourself. We are going on an expedition. However, Hatib ibn Abi Balta'a, one of the greatest Sahaba who attended the Battle of Badr, so one of the earliest Muslims who proved his faith, he felt that it is going to Mecca. He has some wealth in Mecca and some family. So he committed a mistake. His mistake is to notify the people of Mecca that the Messenger ﷺ is coming to you. Okay? which is nowadays what we call it, betraying, right? We call it nowadays betraying. But that was, what. So he wrote a letter, and without anyone knowing, he hid it, he folded it up, or he rolled it, and he gave it to a lady who was coming from Mecca and going back to Mecca, selling stuff, like a merchant or something. A lady. So he gave it to her, and it was sealed, so she doesn't know what is in it. And he said, just take this letter to the people of Mecca and hide it. No one should see it. So she hid it in her hair. All days, she untied it. Then she tied it, her hair on braids on the leather. And she departed from Medina. The Wahi, Jibreel came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, telling him that there is a letter with a lady from Hatib bin Abi Balta'a to people of Mecca, telling them that you are coming to them. So he sent sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ali bin Abi Talib, his cousin, and Zubayr bin al-Awwam, who is his cousin also. Zubayr bin al-Awwam, his cousin, because his mother is Safiya, the aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They followed the lady, she stopped. They said, you have a letter from someone from Mecca, Medina to Mecca. She said, no, I don't have anything. They said, we want to search your stuff. She said, go ahead. And they started searching her camel and the packages, what she was carrying, and there was nothing. Then Ali ibn Abi Talib said, Wallahi ma kadaba Rasulullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never told a lie. You have a letter. You have to get it out. She said, I don't, you search. They say, take it out or we'll search you personally. She said, okay, turn your back. Look, this is a non-Muslim. Look at, subhanAllah, the old culture. She doesn't want even to expose her hair in front of men. She said, turn your back. And they understood. They turned their backs, and she untied her braids, and she took the letter and she gave it to them. They took the letter and brought it back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, exactly as the Wahi told him. Now, what Hatib bin Abi Balta'a, this great Sahabi, was hiding is exposed. So Muslims became angry now. And Umar ibn Khattab, Allah's messenger, this one became a munafiq, and this is the dalil, the evidence. Let me chop his head off. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked him, why did you do that, O Hatib? And this is one of the lessons. Just ask people, did you do it? Yes, why? See you before judging quickly. Okay, why did you do that? And he said, Allah's messenger, by Allah, I never betrayed Allah and His messenger. And still I maintain my faith. And I knew that Allah will give you victory over the people of Mecca no matter what happens. I knew that you will be victorious. But I have a family and some wealth. And for the sake and the protection of my family, I wanted to give a favor to Qurayshi people. So in case you come back this year, like Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, you did not make the opening. In case you leave, my family will be protected because I give them a favor. And Arabs will appreciate that. If somebody does a favor, they will return that favor, they pay it back, which is in Islam. Rasulullah says, if somebody gives you something or gives you a favor, then pay it back. And if you cannot pay it back, say, Jazakallahu khairah. This is, to pay him back. And Rasulullah always was his habit. If somebody gives him something, he will return. If somebody invites, he will always return. It is a good habit to teach our kids, not always to receive, but also to give. So he said, I knew that you will be victorious, but just a favor for Quraysh to protect my family. Umar said, as it is, he admits the crime now on the evidence and all of the crimes, right? If you are a judge, everything is in your hand. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, O Umar, لعل الله اطلع على أهل بدر فقال اعملوا ما شئتم قد غفرت لكم. He attended the battle of Badr, O Umar. He was with us in Badr. And perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked at the people of Badr with His mercy and He said, do whatever you are doing, you are forgiven. So He did not punish him. He did not punish him. And this is a lesson for all of us. Who can live his life without a sin, without a mistake? It is impossible for all of us to live our life. Now, how to treat your child, your wife, your spouse, your friend, your neighbor, people around you, people in the masjid here, if someone who is good committed a mistake. So this is how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not punish him. However, the ayat came, Surah Al-Mumtahinah now, Surah number 60, educating him and Muslims not to be loyal to the enemies of Allah and His Messenger. So this is the topic of Surah Al-Mumtahinah. Your loyalties to Allah and His Messenger are not to be loyal to the disbelievers. Those who disbelieved in Allah, those who fought you Muslims and drove you out of your dwellings, etc. This is the first ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O believers, لا تتخذوا عدوي وعدوكم أولياء. Don't take your enemies and my enemies as trusted allies. تلقون إليهم بالمودة. You try to be kind to them and treat them like in that way, like حاطب بن أبي بلتعة. Why? وقد كفروا بما جاءكم الحق. While they disbelieved in the haqq that came to you, the truth that came to you. يخرجون الرسول وإياكم. They drove you and the messenger. Because just you believe in Allah, then they drove you out of Mecca. تسرون إليهم بالمودة وأنا أعلم بما أخفيتم وما أعلنتم. You secretly try to be kind to them and give them a favor while I know what you are hiding. Allah saying, while I know what you hide. وأنا أعلم بما أخفيتم وما أعلنتم, and whatever you expose. ومن يفعله منكم. And if someone does so, then he is misguided. إن those people of Mecca, if they have upper hand above you, إن they will be enemies for you. ويبسطوا إليكم أيديهم وألسنتهم بالسوء. They will unleash their tongues and their arms against you. So they are bad enemies. Their tongues, their arms, if they have any opportunity, they will do it for you. Why you are doing like a favor to them? If they show hostility to you, then why you are trying to be allies or trusted allies with them? Then the next ayah, لن تنفعكم أرحامكم ولا أولادكم. Your relatives, your children will not help you. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will separate between you. Allah will separate. So no one will help another one. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches Muslims a lesson to follow Ibrahim. Ibrahim as a role model. Sayyidina Ibrahim. قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ. You have a role model. You have a good example in Ibrahim and the believers with him. When they قالوا لقومهم, when they told their people, إِنَّا بُرَآءُ مِنْكُمْ وَمِمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. When they told their people, when they were disbelievers and showed hostility, that we have nothing to do with you and with whatever you are worshipping beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَدْ بَدَتِ الْبَغْضَاءُ, among the ayat, that hostility also, we will return hostility with hostility. We're not going to show loyalty to you. And the exception is Ibrahim. إِلَّا قَوْلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لِأَبِيهِ لَأَسْتَغْفِرَنَّ لَكَ. Sayyidina Ibrahim promised his father. At one time, when he was arguing with his father, as mentioned in Surah Maryam, Sayyidina Ibrahim, his father was harsh, and if you leave my idols and all of that, if you don't stop, I'm going to torture you, I'm going to do all of that. لأرجمنك. To stone you even. He threatened his son. Sayyidina Ibrahim responded, قال سلام عليك. May peace be with you, my father. لأستغفرن لك. I will make istighfar for you. So this is the only exception to Sayyidina Ibrahim too, because he made a promise to his father to make istighfar for him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning it in the ayah, except Ibrahim, when he promised his father to make istighfar. But we as Muslims in Surah Al-Tawbah, we are not allowed. Rasul and Muslims should not make istighfar. Ask Allah to forgive the disbelievers. It's not up to us. Allah decide. However, we can make dua for them, other dua. We can ask Allah to guide them. Okay? We can make dua for them to be guided. You can make dua of barakah. Allah bless your wealth. Bless yourself. May Allah guide you. But to say, oh Allah forgive him, especially after he dies, and apparently to us he is a disbeliever, then you are not allowed at all, even if somebody is very close. This surah, one of the things that is amazing in this surah is the accuracy. The line, you know, to draw the line between what is haqq and what is batil, between your right and others' right, is this surah. If you want to be accurate in your life, how to treat others, how to be just and fair, exactly on the line. If you have the intention to be one day a judge or something, just read Surah Al-Mumtahinah. Look how the exceptions, like you are not allowed, but there is an exception in history that was Sayyidina Ibrahim. Then ayah 8. Before 8, ayah 7. Although they are enemies, listen to this ayah. عَسَى اللَّهُ أَن يَجْعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ عَادَيْتُم مِّنْهُمْ مَوَدَّةً. Perhaps Allah will make kindness between you and your enemies who are your enemies now. You see the accuracy of the Quran? They are your enemies now, Quraysh people. But perhaps Allah will change the condition and there will be kindness between you and them. Wallahu qadir. And Allah is qadir. He has the power to do that. Wallahu ghafur rahim, and He has forgiveness and rahmah. And many of those leaders of Quraysh, later on they became what? They became Muslims. The majority of the Quraysh people, they became Muslims. Subhanallah. So now they are your enemies, but perhaps one day, who is your enemy today will be your friend. And on the other hand, whoever is your friend now might be your enemy. So there is a statement, they say some scholars consider it a hadith, other scholars consider it a statement of Ali bin Abi Talib, one of his wisdoms. أحبب حبيبك يوما ما عسى أن يكون بغيضك يوما ما. If you love someone, don't love him extremely. He might be your enemy one day. And if you hate someone, don't hate him extremely because he might be your friend one day. The balance, don't be extreme. Don't be extreme. Allah changes the hearts of people. Don't say this, my friend, forever. You hear it with the youth, forever is the friend. Allah knows, what will happen. Maybe you separated and everyone will be busy in his life. So, Ayah 8, look at the accuracy in Ayah 8. لا ينهاكم الله عن الله. And you can bring this ayah when you have discussion with non-Muslims. Okay, Ayah 8, Surah Al-Mumtahinah, Ayah 60, Surah 60. لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم. Allah doesn't prevent you from being أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم, from doing good and being just with those who are not fighting you, those who are not hostile to you. What does it mean? You can be fair and just, and you must be fair and just, and you can even do a favor to those who are not hostile to you or to Muslims. You remember earlier, don't take them, like those who are hostile to you, fighting you, like the people of Mecca drove you out of your lands and all of that, then don't take them trusted allies. But there are some non-Muslims who are not hostile to you. One of them among the leaders of Quraysh, Mut'am bin Adi. Mut'am bin Adi, he was not hostile to Rasulullah. He did not become a Muslim, but he was not bad. Actually, when they boycotted Muslims, he would smuggle food to Muslims, and he was against what happened when they boycotted Muslims for 3 years. Mut'am bin Adi, he was against it, and he was one of those people who said this is wrong. And when Rasulullah came from Ta'if, he said he is under my protection. Someone who is not like a person of troubles, like Abu Jahl and all of that. He brought his kids, he brought his brothers, and he said, wear your arms. Muhammad is coming, and I gave him my word that he will be protected. But subhanAllah, he was unlucky to accept Islam. Rasulullah in the Battle of Badr, he said, if he is alive today, and he said, release all of those prisoners, release them, 70 of the Quraysh people, just if he says that word, I will release them. So here the area of those who are not hostile to Muslims, those who are not fighting you, Allah doesn't say be hostile to them. Allah is telling you to be kind, to be just. This is the accuracy of Islam. To be just with them. Don't transgress. Be just and fair, and you can do a favor. In our history, one of the nicest stories and touching stories. Two actually. I was thinking about Umar ibn Khattab, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wahshi, the one who stabbed Hamza, became a Muslim. Wahshi, who stabbed Bilal, who stabbed Hamza, he became a Muslim after a while. When he came, Rasulullah ﷺ asked him, he knew that if he becomes a Muslim, and he was told that if you become a Muslim, you will not be punished for any crime that you committed before Islam. Rasulullah ﷺ asked him when he became a Muslim, he accepted Islam from him. He said, tell me, how did you kill Hamza? And he gave the full description. And Rasulullah ﷺ cried. And he said, if you can, not to show me your face or not to let me see you, that would be great. So Wahshi would go with Rasulullah ﷺ, but he would not sit in front of him. He would always cry when they are traveling behind him. So, if it is for another king, or other people, perhaps they will kill him. They will kill all of the tribe. They will kill everybody. But this is the justice of Islam. Another story related to that is Umar ibn Khattab. As you know, he has his brother Zayd ibn Khattab, who became a Muslim before Umar. And he became a martyr before him even. The killer of Zayd became a Muslim. And one day, Umar ibn Khattab met him. And he asked him about the killing of Zayd. Anyhow, he described the killing and he told them that this is what happened. And Umar al-Khattab said, by Allah, I will never love you. I will never love you until the earth will love the blood, the shed the blood that is shed, and absorb it. I will never love you. Then the man responded, he's from the desert, he doesn't care so much. Then he responded to Umar al-Khattab and he said, will that make you wrong me in any way? Like decreasing my salary from the state? Now you are angry because I killed your brother one day, but will that affect the relation, my right in the state, the Muslim community, decreasing my wealth? And Umar al-Khattab said, no, that will never happen. I will never wrong you. Then the man did not care. He said, like just women would be crying over love. I don't care about your love. Another way, other words, subhanAllah. So this is the justice of Islam, that in Ayah 8, that those who are not enemies to you, be just always with them and treat them fairly. Something that is missing in our world nowadays. They try to do Geneva Conventions and they try to do international laws and they try to do this and that. But you see the results now in Gaza and other areas. The world needs Islam, Allah. The world needs Islam and needs us to carry the message and to go outside to educate people. How to be fair and how to be just, even with the one who committed the mistake. And not only with non-Muslims, even with us as Muslims, we sometimes fail in treating people around us fairly. If somebody is angry, then he will carry the grudge forever. Then he try always to harm the other person. Look, Umar al-Khattab, the killer, he said, no, that will not affect. It is about love. It is personal choice. I'm not going to wrong you and anything else. If you take Surah Al-Mumtahinah as a standard of our life, I guess many of our cases will be solved. Then the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the believing women who are immigrating. Believing women. Among the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah, among the articles of the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah, if a Muslim is coming, if somebody from Mecca leaves Quraysh and comes to Islam, then that person should be returned to disbelief. And if a Muslim leaves the camp of Muslims to the camp of disbelievers, he's allowed to do that. The moment they signed the treaty, one of the Muslims who was in chains in Mecca, the son of Suhail bin Amr, Abu Jandal, he came and he wanted to join Muslims. His father, who signed the treaty with Rasulullah Suhail bin Amr, later on he became Muslim, he said, no, just Muhammad will finish the treaty and my son has to go back. And his son started crying. He said, oh Muslims, you are allowing me to go back to disbelief. And they are going to make fitna to me, they will force me to be a disbeliever. And Rasulullah talked to Suhail bin Amr. And again, this is justice of Islam. He said, oh Suhail, this is among the Arab style to honor people. He said, let this be an exception for my sake. Let this be an exception. And Suhail bin Amr said no. Suhail bin Amr said no. The same person, Suhail bin Amr, he was arrested in the Battle of Badr. And Umar al-Khattab told Rasulullah, he said, Suhail bin Amr, this is very influential in his speech and always telling people to come and fight you. Today he is in our culture. Let me take off his front teeth so his tongue will be outside when he wants to speak. He cannot control his tongue. So he will never stand against you and Islam. Umar al-Khattab wanted to pull his teeth. And Rasulullah said, no Umar, I don't want you to deform him, do that, fearing that Allah will do the same to me, even if I'm a prophet. Again, the justice in Islam is unbelievable. He says, I don't want that to happen to him, fearing that Allah will do it to me, even if I'm a prophet. Then he said, oh Umar, leave him. One day perhaps he will stand in a place and he will say something good that will please you. And that happened after a few years. When after the death of Rasulullah, he stood up in Mecca and he did good speech to the people of Mecca, telling them to stay Muslims, and they did. So Suhail ibn Amr at that time, he knew that Rasulullah did not want his companions to take off his teeth. So he said, give me this exception, Abu Jandal. He said, no. Then he stood up and he smacked his son on his face, making him bleed. And he took him, dragged him. While his son is crying, Rasulullah said, I cannot do anything for you, but Allah will make a solution for you, Abu Jandal. Later on, he went with some of his friends similar cases to the mountains, and they started attacking Quraysh and their caravans. The Quraysh felt tired. They said, Muhammad, just take them. Those are troublemakers, just take them. In your camp. So what about women? The next ayah is about women. We're towards the end of the surah, the last 4 ayah. If a believing woman immigrates to Muslims, accept her, but make sure that he is a true Muslim who is running for the sake of Islam, not for any other cause. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا جاءكم المؤمنات مهاجرات فامتحنوهن. Or believers, when believing women immigrate to you, test them. This is the name of the surah, right? Al-Mumtahinah, the women who are tested, or the test of faith. Make sure that they are truly Muslims. She is not running away from her husband because he hated him, or because she wanted to work, or because whatever people immigrate for. فَإِنْ عَلِمْتُمُهُنَّ مُؤْمِنَاتٍ. If you knew that they are truly mu'mins, don't return them to the disbelievers. لَا هُنَّ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحِلُّونَ لَهُمْ. They are not halal for them, and they are not, the disbeliever husbands, they are not halal for them. Look at the justice of Islam. وَآتُوهُمْ مَا أَنْفَقُوا. Give them back, Qurayshi people, the mahar. Can you find more justice than this? So Rasulullah was up to his word that if a man comes from Quraysh to Islam, reject him, and he rejected them. Now a woman, they were not included in the treaty. Allow them to come. But the husband who invested in his wife and paid the mahar, he lost something, right? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, although he is a disbeliever and he is an enemy and they are fighting Islam and Muslims, he said, وَآتُوهُمْ مَا أَنْفَقُوا, and give them the wealth that they paid for their wives. SubhanAllah, how Islam, wallah, is amazing in this justice. Okay, he lost his wife, but not his wealth. Give him back his wealth. وَآتُوهُمْ مَا أَنْفَقُوا. And if some Muslims want to marry them after they immigrate, then yes, you can marry those women, but give them the mahar and their rights. Don't take advantage of them, right? You don't take advantage of them because they're running away and she doesn't have family or husband. So don't take advantage, and give them their rights of mahar. And if some Muslim women from the Muslim camp leaves to the disbelievers, then compensate their husbands. وَإِنْ فَاتَكُمْ شَيْءٌ مِّنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ. And if some of your wives leave you, فَعَاقَبْتُمْ, then you have a battle with the Qurayshi people, فَآتُوا الَّذِينَ ذَهَبَتْ أَزْوَاجُهُمْ مِثْلَ مَا أَنْفَقُوا. Give the husbands of those who lost their wives similar to what they invested or what they lost. Similar the case. So fair treatment. If a Muslim loses his wife, give him back his mahar. And if a disbeliever loses his wife, give him back his mahar. Then the next ayah, the last 2 ayat in the surah, يا أيها النبي, O believer, O Nabi, إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك. If the believing women come to give you the bay'ah, and the conditions of the bay'ah are mentioned, then فَبَايِعْهُنَّ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُنَّ اللَّهِ. Then accept their bay'ah and make istighfar for them. And Allah is Ghafur Rahim. The terms of the bay'ah of women. Women were not allowed to fight, right? They were not forced to be fighting or to defend Islam physically. So, يُبَايِعْنَكَ عَلَى أَلَّا يُشْرِكْنَ بِاللَّهِ شَيْئًا. The first condition and term, not to commit shirk. The same bay'ah was taken from early Muslims. You remember the first group of Muslims who came from Medina to Mecca in secret. They gave bay'ah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before the migration. This is the first bay'ah. They call it bay'at al-nisa, the bay'ah of women. This is the first bay'ah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah yushrikna billahi shay'a. Not to make shirk, associate any partner, worship anyone beside or instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَسْرِقْنَا, not to steal. وَلَا يَزْنِينَ, not to commit adultery. وَلَا يَقْتُلْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنَّ, and not to kill their children. وَلَا يَأْتِينَ بِبُهْتَانٍ يَفْتَرِينَهُ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِنَّ وَأَرْجُلِهِنَّ, and not to accuse others falsely of adultery or other things. وَلَا يَعْصِينَكَ فِي مَعْرُوفٍ, and not to disobey you or Allah's Messenger in anything that is good. So they have to obey Rasulullah teachings of Islam, and they should not do all of that. And that was the early bay'ah of Muslims. In Bay'at al-Aqaba, you know what Rasulullah told Muslims? He said, if somebody commits any of these mistakes, and he repents to Allah, and he is caught within the Muslim community in the future, he will be punished for his crime. But if he is not caught, then it is between him and Allah. If he repents, perhaps Allah will forgive him. If he's not, it is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is Bay'at al-Nisa and the early Aqaba Bay'ah. They say when the mother of Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, the wife of Abu Sufyan, came to give the Bay'ah, after the opening of Mecca. This is the last stage. The woman came to give the bay'ah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was by signal. The messenger would not shake the hands of women. So they came, and they would raise their hands like that, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would raise his hand, and they give the bay'ah. You give the bay'ah not to commit shirk, no stealing, no zina, adultery, no fornication, all of that. Then when they say وَلَا يَزْنِينَ, and not to commit adultery, fornication, Hind bint Utbah put her hand back, and she said, أَوَتَزْنِ الْحُرَّةِ, is it possible, or how come a free, respected woman of dignity will do that? So it was like against the culture, against people of dignity to commit that sin. And she was just a new Muslim, but it is impossible for a lady of dignity and respect in the community to do that. Then the last ayah, remember the ayat in many cases, if you read the tafsir of the Quran or translation, look at the beginning of the surah and look at the very end. Okay? If it starts with Quran, ends with Quran, like Surah Al-Naml, starting with Quran, ending with Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, Iman and Amanu, right? الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, and end of it, آمَنَ الرَّسُولُ. So this one is Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, or believers, and the last ayah, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. The first ayah, لا تتخذوا عدوي وعدوكم أولياء, don't take my enemy and your enemy as a trusted allies. The last ayah, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, لا تتولوا قوما غضب الله عليهم. Don't ally yourself to those that Allah is angry with them. قد يئسوا من الآخرة. They have no hope. They have no hope in the hereafter, in the akhirah, to take a reward or to believe in it. Like the disbelievers losing their hope on those who are in their graves, in their qabr. So there is no hope for them on Yawm al-Qiyamah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to benefit us from the Quran, to make us just and fair when we treat Muslims and non-Muslims, and to learn more about Iman related to Islam and Muslim. Inna sami'a qareem, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jazakumullah khairan.